Beautiful souls, welcome back to another episode of the You Unlimited podcast. I am so excited and grateful to dig into today's episode. It's going to be so much fun. So, I've got Jessica Hoogendoorn in the house, and it's going to be a beautiful episode where we're really going to start to peel back the layers of leaning into your passion and purpose, what it takes to build a brand with incredible soul aligned products. So, it's going to be a really empowering episode. So I'm so excited Jessica is in the space. She is a certified naturopathic doctor, nutritional consultant, natural health professional, and master herbalist. So she is the founder of Eat to Live, a luxury health focused skincare and wellness brand built on the belief that what we put on our skin and on our bodies is as important as what we put in them. So
Right.
this is going to be so much fun to dig in with Jessica. She has so much wealth of knowledge over the decades that she's leaned into this experience of just desiring to learn more about the body, how it functions, and how we can best serve our bodies and our internal organs by really focusing on what are we placing on the outside of our bodies. So, Jessica, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to dig in with you today.
Oh, it's an honor. I'm excited to be here. I love the space that you created. I love how you operate. And so to me, to be able to connect with you, I remember the first time we talked, it was so beautiful. And to your audience is an honor. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited for people to even hear more about your brand, what you've built, but I'd love for you to even just share what inspired you to create Eat to Live. Like what is kind of the nucleus of how it even started? Share with us more about that.
Sure. So, a saying that kind of has stuck with me for years as I practice. One of my mentors told us when we were going through a really difficult time that if we know how to navigate hard times, our place of pain can become our place of rain. And that stuck with me. And I was like, at the time it was like, okay, yes. But as I've grown and as I've walked it out, I look back on my journey and realize that really became our reality. So I've been in the practice for over 20 years in the health realm. And where it really became personal to me was when our daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. I had a 3-week-old baby. It was completely out of the blue. She had no symptoms but for a lump on her neck. And then 6 months into her treatment, we were making maple syrup, and what held up our pan of boiling sap, a brick broke, and the boiling sap went over her and our son. And it was just a absolute nightmare. She had just gone through the harshest week of chemo. And so it's never a good time, but it was a really scary time for her. So she was airlifted to burn in trauma unit. Our son was taken by ambulance. And that was during the recession. I don't know if any of you remember that, but in Michigan, my husband wasn't logging and we got a call. We are in the burn in trauma unit. And so my mom would take our baby because you couldn't have a baby there. And I would nurse him and she would take him. And Dan and I were just sitting, my husband, and the trauma unit, he got a call. The company he had worked for went bankrupt. And so we looked at each other. We're like, there's no work. Our children are fighting for their life. It's really only up from here. And through a series of what I call God events, we were able to teach the trauma unit how to treat burns naturally. With how my daughter's health was, is she couldn't, she would have needed to have been skin grafted over most of her body. And her pain meds weren't taking. She was losing her mind. She was only 6 years old. And so we petitioned them, can we do something different? It was a university hospital that was a learning center. And so we trained the trauma unit how to use a salve, burdock leaves, and a modality of doing that naturally. And what
Wow.
I learned in that was what I am now utilizing in Eat to Live in our products is what regenerates skin cells, what heals the skin, because she technically shouldn't have had places she was burned so deeply that would naturally regrow, and it did, which was astounding. So combining that with a couple years later, my mom having skin cancer and working with so many people, I took what I learned to help heal that naturally and burns naturally and just about the skin and put into those, every formula basically has touches of that in it to really be not only anti-aging and luxurious, but extremely healing.
Wow. So what helped you get through that time the most? Because that is a lot that compounded at the same time, where it was like this and then that. And then you think about there's many things that happen, but especially when the things like our children, right? Our
Yeah.
livelihood, like these things, like some of the biggest things that we care about the most, like what do you feel truly helped you get through that the most? to be able to then say, okay, wow, we've got something here and we want to be able to share it with even more people.
Yeah, honestly, it was our faith. If I would not have had that to cling on to, I don't know how you would, for me, like, I don't know how I would have ever gotten through that
Yeah.
without that, because there was nothing else. We had no finances for a year. We had two children hanging on to life. It was just a hellish nightmare because typically you have to scrub burns every 12 hours. We were fighting for our daughter's life on multiple levels. And so, to me, it was number one, faith. And number two, my family was amazing in that time. They all surrounded us. And so I think that for me, I was pulling on everything I knew, people that I knew. And thank God I had surrounded myself with people who are very knowledgeable. So I had people helping me naturally, holistically with the burns and with the cancer because she couldn't take any chemo because chemo stops skin healing. And so she had to stop all treatment. It was only natural remedies, which we had her on natural remedies from the day of her diagnosis. And so it was the sum of people around us. It was faith, and it was just realizing it was up to me and my husband. We were our kids as advocates because there was a lot of advocating needing with the way the medical system is on. Oh, that's another whole story.
Yeah.
But I kind of just went into the laser focus of pulling everything I had learned, everything I knew to help on every level, and then just doing the next thing. Like I think a battle cry of being a mom comes up in you when you're fighting for your kids' lives.
I just got body chills thinking about that, because I think about my children too and how we would do anything to support them and to
Yeah.
advocate for them. And I would say my son has definitely been a catalyst for where I wasn't advocating for my own health. Suddenly I was
Yes.
advocating for his and recognizing, oh, wait, I get to advocate for my own too. Or
Mhm.
not just take what someone's telling me as truth. I
Right.
really got to tune in and say, but what is my intuition telling me? And
Right.
what I
Oh,
see
absolutely.
as truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, our kids are such a catalyst for
So
our
much.
growth, for our expansion
Yeah.
in every way. And so,
Yeah.
how did you go from recognizing that this was working in your children's life, working with your mother? Like, how did you go from recognizing, okay, this is so powerful. Now I want to get it into the hands of more people. What did it look like to actually create a brand, create a business around something that you're so passionate about?
Yeah, well, our life took an interesting journey. So we had a call that there from Kentucky. We were living in northern Michigan. That there was a company that my husband did a special logging equipment. They needed him to come down to Kentucky and model this equipment because he was really good at it. Long story short, we ended up moving to Kentucky. We moved right into the middle of an Amish community. It was the only house we could find. So it was a beautiful experience in so many ways. And I started a business there called Alternative Health and Wellness that I made tinctures and salves and things like that. And I did that for a couple of years. And when we moved back to Michigan, I needed a break. I knew that. So I sold that business. And so I kind of had taken a sabbatical. And it was last year when I started getting the urge to formulate again. And how I was telling someone else in a podcast I did, I said, how I receive messages is, and when it comes to things like this, is I will hear it over and over again in my clients. What can we do for XYZ? And last spring, summer, I kept hearing from moms, we need a safe sunscreen. Does anybody know a safe sunscreen? And we just really never used it because there was sunscreen conventionally is so carcinogenic, and we're baking when our pores are open, carcinogens directly into the skin. Have someone who has gone through cancer with my daughter, with my mom, and then various clients. I will do anything I can to be proactive where I know I can be proactive. And so I would never put that onto my children personally. So I had a dream. I woke up one morning with a dream.
Mm.
And in my dream, I had this list of ingredients that were all things that I had used for my daughter, for my mom, and then through so many clients since. And I started putting them together, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this literally is anti-aging. It's skin protective. It helps with skin cancer. It helps with healing. I could do a tweak or two, and this could be a sunscreen. And so
Mm.
that's literally where that came from. And so I just started with, I have so many friends who are happy to be testers. Um,
Love it.
and yeah, and from there, got it approved to the right SPF for 20 and 50. And then from there it was like, okay, well, what about when people are burned, or what can we put on our skin on a daily basis as a preventative for this, but also be very luxurious. I really feel women need to feel like the queens we are. We deal with
Mm.
so much in life that there should be parts of our life that are just special, that don't break the bank, but that are luxurious.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where I took off into making a face line and then a healing line, and then now the intimacy line. So it
Mhm.
started with the dream of ingredients and it's gone from there.
Mm, so good. And I love too that what you were saying too, it's like how the universe, God, source, whatever you believe,
Yes,
is moving through other people too as messengers
right.
for what we're
Mhm.
supposed to do. We've got our intuition,
Absolutely.
and then
Yep.
we've also got like this like recurring message that's like, how do we protect our skin when we're in the sun that isn't toxic and
Yeah.
doesn't have all those carcinogens and things of that nature. And so and I love that it kept falling on your ears because you're someone being this master herbalist that knows how to actually create something that is then not only luxurious, but also protects the skin. And it's our
Right.
biggest organ, right? And it goes straight into the bloodstream. And so I think it's so important that we are conscious of what we're putting on our skin from whether it's the makeup, the balm, the sunscreen, all of these things. I have become so much more aware of this, I feel like in the last 5 years, again, because of my son, where I'm focusing on what am I putting on his skin. And then I'm like, well, what am
Right.
I putting on my skin? Like, wait, let
Right.
me think about this. And I love that you've also taken this into this intimacy line too, because if you think about it, it's not just what are you placing on your skin, what are you placing inside of yourself in different ways
Right.
too. So I'd love for you to even expand on, the intimacy line and what had you want to look
Sure.
into that space and how it's really supported couples and individuals in their own experience of honoring their body in that way too.
Absolutely. Something, can I just go back? Because
Yeah.
as you were talking, I remembered saying, so last year, what I was in the middle of shooting a video for a doctor explaining the products. And
Yeah.
I heard coming out of my mouth was, we need to, it's not just what we put on our skin that we do, I mean, what we don't put on our skin, but what if we could use our skin as a conduit into the body? Because
Mm.
what we put on our skin is in our bloodstream in about 26 seconds or less. So if you
Wow.
picture everything you're putting on your skin as a conduit, think of why they have patches. They have, pain patches, they have hormone patches, they have all these different patches because it's a conduit. So sometimes for our children, we can use that as a way to get nutrients into them. And
Mm.
so if we are like, I became a purist more than ever before when our daughter had cancer. And so I was so conscious of everything going into her body, but it's actually more important that we look at what's going on our skin than what goes into our body. Because when we take something in orally, we have the liver, the gut, and all the systems of detox before it gets out to released. What we put on our skin, we don't have that. And so
Wow.
if we're putting on things like your average lotion has multiple carcinogens and chemicals in it, and that's in your bloodstream, and we're already fighting enough disease or fighting enough sickness, why not be more conscious of even what we're putting on? So everything that we made with Eat to Live is not just luxurious and healing, but it's actually putting vitamins A, D, E, K, and all the essential oils and that goodness into your skin. So it's multidimensional
Yes.
in what we're doing. So like the decongestant's also an immune booster on the feet. So anyhow, yes, I just wanted to put that in because you said something with the skin. I'm like, yeah, it's not a barrier. It's actually a conduit. So let's use it as a conduit.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way, but it makes so much sense. And what I love too is like knowing that I work so much in energy, it's like
Right,
your intentionality behind the products that you create is has me recognize the intentionality because I use the products and I'm obsessed with them. So
right,
when I'm using the tallow balm on my skin, it's like not only do I have the intention that I kind of use and kind of infuse into all things I'm ingesting, but also placing on my skin.
right.
I know that you've been intentional in how you've created
Yes.
it and that you genuinely are like, wanting to foster the healthiest version of other people's selves. And so the intentionality of the two of us combined when we're using it, I feel like it makes it even more potent what I'm putting on my
Yes,
skin. And what,
100%.
yeah, and what I love about it too is it's like the tallow balm, as you said, feels luxurious. And so does the sunscreen. And what I love about it is I actually let my mom use some of my sunscreen because she was using one that was tallow based, but it was very drying. So I was like, you
Yes.
have to try mine. Like it's just so much better. Like, just like trust
Yes.
me. And it's so beautiful because you found that perfect blend of like it's not greasy, but it's not drying. It's like this
Right.
perfect in between. And my dog is obsessed with it. She like just will not stop licking me. And I'm like, okay, you gotta
Oh,
chill, you
it's so
know?
normal. Yes.
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
because it smells good and it tastes good
Yes.
to her, you know? And so, and
Yes.
I know that you have that video of your nieces literally eating it because it tastes good.
They
Uh,
ate half a bottle. Yes. Well, can I comment on the frequency part of it?
yes, please.
So
Yeah.
I worked in frequency medicine for years, did bioenergetic testing, but a
Oh,
lot of people
fun.
love essential oils for their medicinal properties, but their medicinal properties are going on frequency. Every oil has a frequency.
Yes.
So in Eat to Live, all of our products use essential oils, and we will intentionally use the high quality healing essential oils because the frequency that they carry is so healing. So every single product, like the decongestant has between the kids and the adults, has 18 different essential oils for immunity, but also that frequency. So the sunscreen, I think, has 5 or 6 different essential oils that are all have different frequencies. So every product will carry, and you'll be drawn to different ones
Mhm.
because they are intentionally using that and going with the frequency of that. So that's just a side note on it.
Oh my gosh, I love the products even more for that reason. Like I already
Yes.
felt the vibe. Like I can feel energy with all things. So I already
Right.
felt intuitively drawn to the products, to you, to the
Yeah.
experience. But knowing how much intentionality has gone into it is just
Yeah.
like that much more, I would say, validating of why I was feeling drawn to you, your brand, and to each of your products that you spend so much time just intentionally thinking about everything that goes into it.
Truly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who we are. So about the frequency, I mean, about the intimacy. So
Yeah.
about 6 or 7 months ago, I was starting to hear the message of from premenopause and menopause women, and I was at a mastermind. And what kind of was the clinching aspect to it? Some of the girls' flights were delayed, and we were sitting around talking. I had been mulling this idea in my head because I kept hearing from women, intimacy is painful. Like what's happened to me that suddenly I'm bleeding, or after intercourse, there's so much pain, or I have these micro tears, or it's just so dry. And no matter what we do, I can't seem to get on top of it. I've been to the doctor multiple times, and even coconut oil doesn't work. And my antenna went up because as natural people, a lot of people are going towards coconut oil. And coconut oil actually disrupts the microbiome over time. As healing as it is for so many things, it's antibacterial, and that is a place that has a lot of different bacteria. And so you can really shift the microbiome too much and negatively by using coconut oil as a lubricant. And
Yeah.
so we were sitting around talking because some flights were delayed. And we all of a sudden, I just was like, okay, ladies, what do you think if I would create an intimacy line? And we're talking about marketing and that. And the response was so affirmative in that this is so needed. Like there's so many communities that are looking for natural alternatives, that are looking for something that's high end, because my heart is for so many like for entrepreneurial women. It's for any women, but I find that a lot of us are so fast paced. We're grabbing things, we're doing
Yes.
things, but yet we value luxury, we value health. And so I just started putting together and researching different ingredients. What would be extremely luxurious that would make women feel when you're going into that sense, when you're going into that scene and you want that romantic evening, what would look luxurious? What would feel luxurious? What would feel really high quality? And at the same time, could we find a blend that would be healing to basically anything? That would
Mhm.
heal the tears, that would create elasticity, that would create that softness, that suppleness, and that would actually be long-term healing, that would fix the problem in so many ways. It is hormonal and there's that whole aspect, but I'm not addressing that now. I'm addressing the intimacy line.
Yeah.
And so it went from there into, well, what if we could put together kits that would be intimacy kits, the massage oil and an intimacy line. And so that's where the ritual intimacy line went for men and for women. So we came up with an unscented and a scented. And with a scented one, it's literally pure rose and sandalwood, just a really light scent for that. So that's for the intimacy line. And you know what? Within the tester group, within 2, 3 weeks, I had women who had not been able to have intimacy without pain, or some were even popping pain pills beforehand. It
Wow.
was zero pain. The tears had healed up. There was no more bleeding. It was just like I had women calling me in tears because they could finally make love again without
Oh,
pain. And that
yeah.
was just a tester group. And since then, I've just been getting so many messages of and stories. You know,
Yeah.
19 years I've not been able to make love. This is the first time. And so to me, that is so rewarding because it wasn't just a fix, it's actually
Yeah.
started the healing process.
I just love how you've created these different experiences, like the lubrication you were talking about, like massage oil, things like that, where it's like allowing that to be not only healing for the body, but it sounds like emotionally healing, like to
Yeah,
actually go into that experience feeling like you are going to feel nourished and that you can actually, relax into the experience. I mean, what a
right.
gift for a couple to be able to really experience
Yes.
that connection and how your intentionality behind really thinking about all of the key ingredients because I think that was really important what you shared about the coconut oil because I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of people know that. So I love that this is your zone of genius. And so I just love that you are bringing that in. And I think to your point, like, especially with entrepreneurial women, like we are moving fast. And so we're wanting to
Right.
just trust the experts using our intuition in that, but wanting to say, like,
Yes.
I trust that you know like what to pull together. And if I feel that intuitive ping and it feels aligned, I'm going to lean into it without having to learn all of those things myself, And so
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of just knowing how intentional you are behind everything that you've created and how it's like really not only healed our own bodies, but healed our relationships with other people as well. It's really
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, that's me. I want to be able to grab someone who's in a different zone of genius that I'm not and say, hey, I totally trust you. And that's
Yes.
kind of where you summed it up so well with that. And, even taking that a step further, a lot of women asked, is it edible? Everything that I make and eat to live is edible.
Mhm.
And I had a kind of funny story. I had a lady that bought it because she buys everything I make. And she's like, I don't need it for that, but I started using it on my face. And my gosh, this is the most moisturized. And like, yeah, I actually use it there too because I have so many batches till we got the exact texture right that I'm using it all over as a body oil. But
Yes.
yeah, it's that pure. So yeah.
Oh, it's so amazing.
Mm.
So, what do you feel like you've learned the most on this journey from, creating this line to now expanding it? What do you feel like you have either learned along the journey that you feel like could really support someone that's thinking about launching a product line? They've got the idea, they've got their zone of genius, even like a service-based line. Like, what would you say has been really impactful in creating what you've created?
Well, you know what that I found probably the most helpful to me in this is to invest in ourselves with either a good coach or a good mastermind. John Maxwell says it all the time, you are the sum of your five closest people. When you're stepping into launching something like we launched, like it's
Mhm.
literally right now, my husband and I are doing everything aside from the making. I hired that out, but we do it all, and we're going to need to expand. But when we're starting something like this, it's kind of where you're learning as you go. But
Yeah.
there's only so far you can learn as you go when you're in the entrepreneurial world. And plus, if you want to go big, you need to find people who've gone before you, find people who have the tools because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so even though we were kind of strapped financially, because when you're starting a business, it's kind of that way. I invested in a mastermind, a business mastermind with entrepreneurial women. It's actually how I met you, Christina, with a friend of a friend from there. And that was the biggest gift to me because in
Yeah.
there, I believe that God had the people, how, like you said, whatever your belief system is, I believe for me that God had the people that I needed for the next step. I met the person who introduced me to you. I met the person who has opened doors that we needed for other avenues. But more than that, you have women that are not going to let you quit. That
Yeah.
when I was doubting myself, like, is this really good enough? Like, can I really do this? And they don't let you stay there. And you need that because there's always going to be doubt, there's always going to be questions. So I would say invest into yourself because you take yourself everywhere and you need to up level as your business up levels, or you're going to put the cap on your own business.
Oh my gosh, I could not agree with you more. Being surrounded by people that are up to big things suddenly make your big dreams not feel so pie in the
Come on.
sky. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
suddenly you're like, wow, and you know what I love is putting myself in those rooms and saying, here's what I'm thinking. And people are like, I love that for you. And what if you went bigger? And I'm like, is that allowed? Like, am I allowed
Yes.
to think bigger? Like, and they're like, yes. And I see that for you. And here's what I'm intuiting. And especially when you're in a room full of just like women who are incredibly intuitive, there's something really powerful about that too, about women seeing things in another person. And I think men are intuitive too. But I do find, like, especially in rooms where it's like all women, all this intuitive energy just starts to come to the surface where it's like, yes, business strategy, but all of a sudden this like magic comes together with it where it's like, whoa. And you leave that space feeling so inspired, but so
Yes.
held, like you were saying. So nice to have a space where you can land in both the celebration of the big wins and people really
Yes.
celebrating you, like genuinely excited for you. And also the moments where you're like, I don't know if I should do this anymore. And them
Oh,
meeting you in that too and holding you in that because guaranteed they have felt that themselves and they needed
yes.
someone to help lift them up through that too. It's so powerful.
It really is because literally my whole line that I launched, the intimacy line, the muscle rub, all that, it's a good chance it would still be in my head if I would not have had the
Yeah.
sisters sitting around saying, okay, you're going to do this. I want this here by XYZ. And another sister was go over here said, if you do that, you literally could take your business way up here. And I'm down here sitting, okay, I've done this. It's okay. We're this small. And they're like, oh gosh, you can't stay there. You got to go this big. And
Yes.
you don't often have that from the people that you just do life with. Sometimes
Yeah.
you do. There is something so powerful about taking the leap and investing into yourself with people who are you're intentionally putting yourself in rooms that are of people that are ahead of you and that have done it. And having a coach that's not going to let you play small, that can empathize with the hard, but does not let you stay there.
Yes.
And I could go on for long for stories like that, but we all have those. But that would probably be my biggest advice is seek those places out, seek those people out.
I love what you said too, where they can empathize with you, like, say like, hey, I hear you. And they help you up level,
Yes.
coach, the mentor, and they don't meet you in it. They instead like they're there, they witness it and they invite you to see to rise.
It's so
And
important.
that's the power of having a mentor that won't meet you in there and stay there. Because that's a friend. You know what I mean? And
Right.
someone who just like
Right.
meets you in the darkness is like, I'm here with you, which is wonderful. But in the context of wanting to grow and expand and elevate,
Yes.
having someone that's like, I am witnessing you, I am holding you, and here's what we can do to break through it because I have been there before. I've walked this
Yes.
journey or something so similar. And I
Yes.
think that's what makes like the deepest, darkest moments feel so much less scary is because they're like, yeah, me too. That happened to me too. And
Yeah.
oh, and you're still standing and still successful and we're okay. Wow. And it really takes the veil away from like, we see all these incredible businesses that are doing so well, and we just assume like, oh, they had it easy, they had it all figured out, they have it
No,
all figured out at this point. And we realize at every level, there's still new things that people are breaking through.
so
And
much.
so nice to know, like, oh, thank goodness I'm not the only one who's figuring it out as she's going. Like, I'm
No.
surrounded by people that are doing that too. And there's a
Yes.
lot of liberation and also comfort in that, I find.
Oh, it is. I can't tell you how many times. Just yesterday, I was getting dressed and I was kind of having an almost panicky feeling like oh, in a situation we're looking at financially. And I literally thought of a friend that it's ahead of me financially and in business. And I remember them telling a story of risk that they took and just said, it's literally a part of business people. There's going to be risk. There's going to be seasons where it's just faith, where you are building on the vision of where you see yourself going, not your current circumstances this week. And so that is so important when we're going to scale. But that's also really good for us. I feel like the more that we grow in business, the more influence we have. And what type of influence are we? What type of voice are we that is going to those around us, to the generations, to where like just me and you talking here? The character and the people of who we are is a frequency that should always be lifting people up, that should be giving them permission to expand and to be safe. And that comes just from being around people that are ahead of where you are, I think.
Mhm. Oh, I completely agree. And would you say, is there anything else you can think of that has helped you in this journey of even expanding your capacity as you're scaling? Because I know when we first started, before we even started recording, we were talking about capacity and how we're expanding and what that looks like holding the bigger vision. Is there anything that's kind of helped you as well to really expand into that capacity of like, okay, here's the bigger vision. What does that look like now is what comes to mind when you think about how, you've kind of set yourself up to increase that capacity and what has kind of helped you do that?
Well, I think a saying, I go back to there's certain sayings that stick in your mind. Tony Robbins said when I was going through his courses, he said, life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And so when I look at the situations, the question that my husband and I are committed, like we intentionally will do our best and catch each other, not to speak out a negative, like I'm so dog tired, or just like maybe it's just I need to rest, or speak negatively about our business in any way, because I believe that our words manifest. And
Absolutely.
so the question that in the heart, when you're really being stretched, that I ask myself is, who am I becoming in
Mhm.
this moment right now? Like I am stretching and I am being stretched, but I'm grateful and I've learned to thank the hard. It's not always easy, but I
Mhm.
learned to thank the hard because it's making me into a person that I need to be for the next level. So as I'm expanding and it's really hard, it's like, okay, thank you, God, for whatever it is that I am learning right now, because I'm going to need it for the next season. So thank you for who I am becoming. Thank you for this opportunity to discover whatever it is that we need to figure out, because I know that I'm going to need this tool for the next level. So I'm trying to look at that every season that's hard in the expansion as a new
Mhm.
tool for my tool belt, and to becoming an incredible person who can know how to handle that tool. Because I think that life is always happening for us for the next season, for the next expansion. So really trying to go into gratitude for that and be
Mm.
thankful for whatever it is that it's building in me.
No, that's so good. That beautiful identity work too around like, what is this expanding me into and getting you to really play with that energy of the
Yeah.
future self. I have this exercise, it's called the alter ego exercise, where sometimes I'll really tune into the energy of someone that one, admire what they've built, but I admire the way that they built it, like who they are, who they were being as they built something. And
Right.
I'll actually like when I'm stepping into being able to expand my capacity, I'll like really tune into them energetically and I'll be like, how would X respond to this? How would
Right.
this person lean into this experience? And it has me really like dial up certain things, dial down certain things, like you were talking about victimhood, like
Mhm.
why is this happening for me, not to me? Things like that, where it's like, ooh, let me really dial up like me really being in my confidence around this, me really pausing and saying, let me tune into my intuition before I make a move. Little things like that, where I think the identity work is so powerful because that's what normalizes what we're calling in anyways and has it feel less scary. Our capacity is now expanded, it's embodied,
Right.
it feels natural. And I think the expansion is always what has our ego and our nervous system feel a little bit like, what? As we're doing it. And it's about like, how can I calm my nervous system? Some of that is just tuning into the energy of the person
Right.
we're becoming, but turn it on within her now in
Right.
different ways. Yeah.
That's so good. And I think that with every business, as you're growing and as you're going through the hard, you're going to hit things that can be negative that feel like rejection. I'm reaching out to this company and they say no, or I'm reaching out to that person. And something that has really helped me in that, talking about tuning and all that, is rejection is just redirection. And so if we can look at these hard times and realize, okay, I was maybe rejected here because I'm being redirected. And my belief is God only ever upgrades his kids. And so if I'm being redirected to an upgrade, well, then thankful. I'm so grateful, because obviously this redirection is going to be for something better. And I think it just comes down to the mindset as entrepreneurs. What are the perspective shifts we can continually be doing to hold the frequency, to be that magnetic person that has a frequency people are drawn to versus repelled? And it's between the ears.
It is. It really is. And being really conscious of what thought patterns am I currently in right now that
Yeah.
are patterns. Again, it's a pattern. So sometimes it's harder for us to see the pattern we're in, which again, I think is why hiring the mentor or stepping into a room with
Mhm.
people that are, have really tuned into what's working for me, what isn't working for me. It's a beautiful pattern disrupt is when
Right.
we're around people that can help us see things when we're so deep in it. We need someone who's outside of it to kind of
Oh,
help us
so
find
much.
the clarity. Yeah. So I love that about how it really is happening between the ears. And it's about what am I tuning into? Because it really is creating things. And
Right.
honestly, when I'm at a higher frequency, I'm finding the gratitude. I find tiny miracle moments happen or big miracle moments happen when I'm just operating from a higher frequency, when I'm
Oh,
just
so much.
allowing myself to feel happy,
Yes.
and it's like,
Yes.
I'm asking myself, who can I be a miracle for today? Like, can I support someone in some way? That is the miracle that's created, through
Oh,
ourselves as well. And
mhm.
so it's really beautiful when we're on that, higher vibration. It creates this beautiful pathway to other people on that frequency with us. So
Yes.
it's just
So
so fun.
good.
It
Yep.
is. It
It
really.
is. It really is. Yeah. My goal is, I guess I should say, my goal is to become the person
Mhm.
that people, if they're having a rough day, to be that type of person that raises the frequency. And I
Yeah.
think that we all need that because I'm only where I'm at because of the knowledge I have. And so I'm looking for people ahead. And just you yourself, Christina,
Mhm.
that grounding exercise, I run pretty fast in life. And just that little exercise that you did, I'm like, oh, I know why I love her. Because it was that nervous system just regulating, because that's a gift that you carry of just bringing peace into a space. And so why not, as entrepreneurs, look for those people intentionally, like
Mhm.
yourself, to be around and to that, because we all need it, especially high driven women need that.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. And amplifying our gifts. I find that when we find the gift when we're around other people that are like leaning into their gifts, we actually amplify other people's gifts. Like I
Yes.
get so excited when people find a gift within them and they want to launch something and I'm like, "How can I help you launch?" I
Right.
love it. I just find it so exciting because I want to amplify what other people are doing because I find it so exciting that people are brave to go after it, to, meet the parts of themselves that, they might not have met yet in the journey of entrepreneurship.
Right.
So,
So
it's like one of my favorite things to do is just to build up entrepreneurs because this journey is not linear. It's up, it's
no,
down, it's sideways, it's upside down.
it's
And
all of
the
it.
more we can hold space for one another and just
Yes.
amplify each other's gifts and provide beautiful mirrors for people to see their gifts, it
Mhm.
is like, is one of my absolute, like, one of the reasons I feel like I was put on this planet was just to hold up a mirror for people to be like, look at your brilliance. Please look at your brilliance for just 1 minute.
It's so
And
beautiful.
yeah, just let people
Yes.
witness themselves in a brand new way. Again, stepping into that new identity, it becomes so much easier when we can witness it within ourselves, sometimes through another person's eyes first.
Oh, so often. Yep. It sometimes takes another person's eyes for us to see ourselves when
Yeah.
we can get in our head too much. And then you hear someone else seeing you and verbalizing what they see in you. And it's like, oh, thank you for that. We need each other.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And in
Right.
an unbiased, high vibrational room,
Oh,
those are the best mirrors because sometimes it's like we don't need all the opinions. We just need
no,
people
no.
that are genuinely like have your best interest in
Yes.
mind,
Yes.
that want to build you up, that can really see your true essence through.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that clarity. There is a difference in people
Yeah.
that have walked through the hard,
Yeah.
that have been successful with integrity. There is
Yeah.
something different about them that is not always common, but that
Mhm.
is invaluable. And that is something that my husband and I are committed to always staying in those spaces because of the tremendous value. But there's just something like it you need to experience. And so, yes, thank you for that clarity.
I just love it. Well, thank you so much for bringing all of your beautiful wisdom into the space, all of your beautiful knowledge into the intentionality behind the products. So, I'm going to be dropping into the show notes a link where people can find these beautiful products. Again, use your intuition on what feels most aligned to test and learn and kind of see what feels good. And then we're going to drop a promo code. You can use the promo code
Yes.
Christina for 10% off, which will be amazing as well. That was our gift to everyone who's tuning in that was magnetized towards this exact episode. There's something here for you. And so just thank you so much, Jessica, for being here. I am so grateful for you. How can people connect with you? Because I guarantee people are going to want more from you.
Sure. Well, I'm going to drop you my Instagram link. So we're on eat to live underscores co. My name
Mhm.
is Jessica Hoogendoorn. And so it's double O both times. I say
Mhm.
007 Hoogendoorn. And Christina can give you the spelling of
Yes.
that on Instagram and on Facebook. So I'd love to have you follow us there. We do random giveaways. So thank you for that, Christina. I really appreciate that.
Amazing. Oh, Jessica, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you creating so much magic out of everything that life has thrown your way, and for you to really just completely double down on all of your gifts and how that's just so deeply impacting the world and everyone who is able to experience the magic of your gifts being amplified in so many different ways. So I'm so grateful for you coming into the space and sharing just an ounce of what you've created for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you so much for everyone that's tuning in. Thank you for giving us your most precious resource, your time. We are so eternally grateful for you. And until next time.